All right, take two. You know what? I'm not happy with an hour-long video of me kind of rambling, so I'm gonna go ahead and redo this, do this one more time, and make the breakdown a little bit less convoluted now that I've kind of understood the the build itself. So this is the Athena. It's part of the Bounties of the System series that I'm doing over on Reddit, where I'm creating like these fake bounties for the world of Starfield, just for a little bit of fun, a little bit more engaging posts, just to kind of make things feel a little bit more alive. And in this particular build, this belongs to a disgraced Vanguard pilot. They have been colluding with Crimson Fleet and smuggling weapons. One little meeting that they have goes wrong, and they end up abandoning their post, which results in the death of innocent civilians. And that is why they're wanted by the UC, and the Crimson Fleet also wants their heads because they just screwed them over a whole shipment of weapons, which isn't good. So now the bounty is out for this Vanguard pilot from both the UC to properly get them to be placed under trial, and then for the Crimson Fleet, they're pissed off because they just got screwed over weapons, and this is the ship that they fly. The way that this ship is built around is it goes from a 1 converting into a 2 wide section back here. The hardest part for the build, if you are going to be rebuilding this ship or just learning from some of the merging that I did here, especially for the wings, I'm quite proud of the wings. This is the most difficult part, air quotes over that. Once you kind of understand some of the merging techniques, honestly, things get a lot easier as you build over and over and over again. So keep having fun with that. The mods necessary for this build are going to be Avon Tech, the better flips and better snaps, and you are also going to need Darkstar. The Matilda's is not entirely necessary. It does use a Matilda's grab drive. You get to swap that out with literally anything else. It's not that big of a deal. I did use this for this particular build. Not necessary. Darkstar, also not necessary, but I highly recommend it just so you can have access to different parts. I'll explain that later. But let's go ahead and just talk about this build, and we'll just go ahead and kind of rebuild it by going from front to back. And as a matter of fact, let's just start with the back, because the back, I think, is the hardest part, up to the front, which is a lot easier. So we're going to go ahead and start with 2x2. We're going to go ahead and take one, go ahead and build it up. The bottom 2x2, if you're going to be rebuilding this up to spec, the way that this was entirely built, you could just follow along. But the bottom 2x2 will be a brig, and the top one will be a battle stations. Okay? We're going to go ahead and take a slim docker, and we're going to place it on the left side 4. Okay? Not the aft section, the 4. So if we're looking at this facing the front of the ship, it is going to be this side. And you'll see why in a tour at the end of the video. Okay? We will be also taking, I highly recommend downloading Play Stores yourself. I forgot that's another necessary mod. Not necessarily necessary, but it does make things a lot easier, and the way that I had the flow of this ship is very specific, and again, you'll see why during the tour. We're going to go ahead and place a ladder on this particular slot adjacent to the slim docker. Go ahead and put the battle stations back on top. Okay? There is a reactor here. We'll go ahead and explain the front here a little bit later, okay? We do have the 4, a door 4. That is going to be at the very top on the left side, yeah. So pretty much on the same section as the slim docker, okay? Now let's go ahead and get started with this little whole mess that's going on up here, okay? We're going to go ahead and, using the Better Flips mod, we're going to go over to the reactors, and we're going to be using the decorative reactors, this section, not the actual reactors. And what I used here is the tokamak reactor, and you'll see why. Go ahead and take 2 of these, clone it over, and bring it over to the very front of the ship. Or, I'm sorry, the very front of the little assembly here. I apologize. It's actually the back. Yeah, the back. We're going to go ahead and place that there, okay? We are going to take the Stroud cowlings, this piece here. Normally you will see it in this configuration. Just over to the right, the next variant, move over until you are on these little horizontal versions of the Stroud caps. We're going to take these and place them right there. We are now going to copy, get this out of the way for now, because they are obnoxious. We're going to go ahead and move another section of these tokamak reactors. And what we're going to do is that we're going to take 2 Nova mini bracers. The mini bracers we can find in front of the regular Nova bracers. Right here. Scroll down. Right here. There's the regular size Nova bracers and then a mini bracer. These bracers are incredible for offsetting your builds to be half step. They are wonderful. I highly recommend it. And now the way that we can go ahead and attach this whole thing together is go ahead and come back to these Stroud caps. Place them to snap onto the front like so. Select all and then bring it back. And that's the way that's going to look. And you'll see why in a second. Okay. We are also going to take a Deimos Spine C and a Deimos Spine A. These are going to be snapping onto the back end right there onto that snap point. So take this and snap it right there. You'll know that they're properly aligned when they are flush with the back of the tokamak reactors there. Okay? Take 2 of these Deimos Tail A's and place them back here as well. See how that flows? Perfect. Just simply move to the next variant and they will be flipped down. Take both of these and then bring them close to the ship right there. Oh, I also recommend, I'm so sorry, shipbuilding tweaks, or I forget what the new mod is, but there's another one where you can activate it in the menu to change the tolerances if you want. I still recommend shipbuilding tweaks just because, I mean, if you're already going to be doing merging, having it always on is just better than having to turn it on all the time. Your call. I believe the other one is called ship merging enabled, I think is what it's called. That one you activate through the start menu, kind of like the way that you edit the combat settings to change the different values. It's going to be in that little menu. But anyway, bring them as close as you can. As you can see, it'll kind of snap all weird. We don't want that to happen. So bring it as close as you can without snapping. Put them into place. Select all, and it will snap together. So if you're doing it one by one, again, just bring it over here. Snap all. There you go. And that's how you're going to snap that together, okay? These 2 Deimos bellies, you're going to place them under there as well. Just like that. As you can see, there's a little slight offset, and you'll see why back here. We are going to be taking fuser reactors, a decorative version of these, and we are going to go to a previous variant to flip them sideways like this. And we're going to take these, and as you can see, there's 2 little snap points right there on the front faces of these, as well as the back facing. Those are just going to be lining up with the back end of the stack of habs that we have here, just like that. And then these engines, if you're going to be using, if you're not going to be using Darkstar, just simply use the regular Poseidon engines, and then you can swap out one of these decorative reactors with the actual reactor, like so. Let's go ahead and go to reactors. We will go down over to the Let me grab it really quick. Diffuser reactors. Let's find the best one. Here it is, 38 power. That seems... No, that is correct. Okay, yeah, 38 power. And we're just gonna be going to the previous variants, and it'll be down like this. And then you could just swap out one of the decorative with this, and then that way you can go ahead and use the Poseidon engines instead of the Dark Star. But I highly recommend Dark Star because you get 180 top speed with a B-class variant using the Poseidon mesh. That's why I recommend Dark Star. This ship was meant to feel fast, and 130 speed, top speed, isn't really that fun to fly. Unless you have Sam Coe with you, then he will increase your top speed. But we're going to take these, and they will also have snap points thanks to better snaps. And you're just going to line them up with the bottom ends of this. That way they're all just kind of going forward. And the reason why there's a little bit of an offset is also to not push too far into the engines, because you can see there's a little bit of clipping going on in there. I don't really like the way that looks, but with this little bit of a half step forward, it looks a little bit nicer. And I needed this to kind of feel closed, because without it, there's like that weird gap, and I don't like that. So that's why that's there, okay? Now, we're going to go ahead and take a Deimos spine and a Deimos cowling little section like this. The Deimos cowlings, again, you're used to seeing like this. Just go to the previous variants, and you'll be able to use that. Press Y to flip them like that. So it'll be Deimos spine A, Deimos cowling, Deimos cowling, Deimos spine A. This is snapping on to right there. That snap points. Take it and put it right there. Same for the other side. Deimos cowling, and then the Deimos spine. Connected right there. And there we go. We're going to be taking... These fuel tanks are not necessary. You could just go ahead and emit these. I just placed them there for greebling and just a little bit of extra fuel. It's not necessary because the ship does come with these, and you could just swap those out for the bigger fuel tanks. These here, the Atlas HE30, because you can get up to 800 fuel. It's not really necessary. 800 fuel is a bit much. Honestly, 400 seems to be like the sweet spot. It'll get you pretty much anywhere in the galaxy map without having to use too much mass. But if you're using the Dark Star engines, honestly, you could probably slap on like 8,000 cargo and it'll still barely affect the actual mobility. But again, not really necessary, but I used it for greebling. These fuel tanks are snapping on to this snap point right there. That's what's going on. So bring this, put it right there, snaps on just fine, snaps on just fine. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and take a... I am using these Dark Star gears. They're not necessary. The 2,680 cargo should actually be just fine using the regular Nova Galactic gears, the NG20 gears, because these still offer 4 landing thrusts instead of 5. But I am also using another pair of Nova Galactic gears here. So you could actually increase the cargo significantly higher if you want a little bit more bang for your buck. I believe you can actually get... Let's go ahead and just test this really quick. Let's use the strongest. Or the heaviest. Just this. So let's go ahead and copy them. Look at that. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra cargo before you even start taking a hit on mobility. You'll be able to actually have 5 and have 10k cargo without even affecting your mobility. That's why the Dark Star engines are freaking awesome. You get 180 top speed. That's something you can only ever achieve with those A-class engines, but now you can have that kind of fun with this and have 10k cargo. It's ridiculous. But anyway. Take these regular Nova Gear, Nova Galactic gears, or the Dark Star versions, and we're going to be snapping them on to the sides of this Deimos break here. That is what that's snapping onto. As you can see, there is, because this is not actually snapping onto here. This is all, we're going to be taking the Stroud engine bracer and then a Nova bracer. Take a hauler 30-ton cargo hold and then a Deimos belly port top and place. We're going to take this hauler cargo hold, the 1000, put it on top of this Nova Galactic gear. Is going to be the wing assembly to make it flow. The wing itself is connected using a weapon snap merging technique. It is not connected to the actual. That point for the X-Wings is going to be on the back end right there. If we were to take this and try to put it onto the ship, as you can see, it doesn't work. It's offset kind of weird like that, and it kind of comes out. If you're cool with that, then honestly, just leave it like that. It will save you a lot of time, a huge headache if you don't feel like doing it. It's going to be snapping on to this back tokamak reactor. If you don't feel like putting in all the extra bit of headache that this can be, honestly. But as you can see, it doesn't work. And I wanted this to flow differently. So what you could do is come over here, remove this tokamak reactor, and what you're going to do is we're going to grab this wing and we're going to bring it more to the right. The way that you can kind of get it to merge smoothly the way that I did is that you can get this line that you see on the back end of the X-Wing and kind of line it up with where this braking engine starts. Kind of like so. Oops. And this is one of the bad things about the weapon merging tech, is that you kind of have to eyeball it, which means that if you're super OCD about like the way that stuff looks, you may end up getting a little annoyed because it may be slightly offset and that might bug you, but it's no big deal. Just try to get it as close as you can. There, okay? Once you've placed it there, what we're going to do is we're going to take two Deimos wing, select all, and bring it over here. What we're going to do is that we're forcing a connection point for this little piece here to connect onto this X-Wing, and you'll see why. And what's going on is that we're taking this piece, we'll be grabbing this, and snapping it on right there. You see that? Okay, so let's go ahead and move this back. We placed it as best as we could. Grab this piece here, and snap it onto that section there. We're going to be taking a Deimos wing C, a Deimos spine C. And we are going to be connecting the back end of this section right here. That little connection point is going to be snapping to the fronts of this Deimos wing. And that's the reason why we're creating that force connection point right there. We're going to bring this forward, put it right there. Now, we're going to be taking a Deimos spine A. This one, you're more used to seeing it in this configuration, like this. We're going to be taking this one and flipping it over to the side. and this is going to be connecting to the front of, or to the side of this tokamak reactor there, like so. Now, the reason we specifically chose these two pieces is because of how close these two weapon connection points are. And the reason why we want that to happen is if we take this weapon and put it there. Oops. Seems I have back. Now, if this ends up happening and you realize that the thing is actually not connected properly, let me just make sure. Yeah. If this ends up happening and your wing isn't connected when you select all you got to do is just select the wing, select all here, and you're going to want to get the weapon, this weapon right here. You're going to want to get those 2 points as close as you possibly can to one another. They don't exactly have to be on top of one another, but as close as you possibly can. So just select all. Let's go ahead and remove this really quick. We're going to go ahead and select all. Ooh. You're not letting me have a good time here. You can go ahead and remove this. Take this whole little section. Oops. How can I explain this? Okay. Well, all you would have to do is remove this tokamak reactor. Take these 2 pieces off as well. We don't need that right now. Let's go ahead and remove this part as well. Step back. And then just move it again a little bit more forward. Forward, yeah. There we go. Now let's do that again. Take these 2 Deimos Wing E's, place it right there. Take your Deimos Spine C. Let's see how close they are. That's better. So let's just make sure, grab our weapon, put it onto the snap point, and it's all connected. And if you my Halo Frigate build, the way that this weapon merging tech works is that, like I mentioned, if 2 snap points are sharing the same, if multiple structural pieces are sharing the same snap point, the game will think that they're all connected. And the way that works again is by, let's just go ahead and flip this way. And let's grab another piece. Let's go ahead and grab this and put it like that. If we were to grab this little assembly here and then select it, it'll snap forward. And now everything's connected. And the reason why is that both the Deimos Wing E that's stuck in there and this are connecting to the end of that. And since they're all sharing the same snap point, as far as the game's concerned, they're all connected to the same piece. And we're using that same logic for the weapon placements. And the way that works is, if we get these 2 pieces as close as we possibly can to one another, let's go ahead and put that weapon there. If we get them as close as we possibly can, the game thinks that this weapon is also connected to that weapon connection point. And that's the logic that's going on there. And you could create nice little offsets by using this technique, but again, it is all through eyeballing. That's the downside to this particular tech, is that you're gonna end up having to eyeball it, and if you're cool with just stuff looking a little off, then it won't be that big of a deal. But with a little bit of patience, you could end up creating some really, really cool stuff. But that's what's going on here, and that's the logic as to why the game is snapping everything together. Okay? And then since we've got that wing thrown on there, let's go ahead and move this back, put it into place, and now everything's connected. See? So let's go ahead and do that again with this side, okay? So again, we're going to be moving this over here. Take off the tokamak reactor. Bring this forward. And again, we're going to want the wing to be kind of similar here. So go ahead and come back over here for reference. That's about as much space as between the little line that you see there and the actual Nova braking engine. And take note of the space there, okay? So we're going to go ahead and come back over here. That looks about the same amount of space. And That looks about right as well. Yep, that looks good. Okay, so since that looks good, let's go ahead and grab our little Deimos Wing E's. We're going to put it, snapping it there. We're going to take the Deimos Wing C. I'm sorry, the Deimos Spine C. And we're going to snap it to the front of this Deimos Wing E. Like so. Now that looks good. Okay. So go ahead and grab the Deimos Spine A. This is snapping onto the side of this tokamak reactor. Do these look close enough? They look like they are. Take the weapon. Let's test it. Place it there. Select all. It's connected. All right. Go ahead and put that back. Everything's connected now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take these Deimos bellies. You can go ahead and just grab one and it'll snap. Take the second one and it'll snap. No big deal. Take these, put them on the other side as well. There you go. And now you have that nice flowing wing. Looks pretty nice. Now let's go ahead and move to the forward part of the ship. What's going on here now is that the ship, this little section, will be using the Matiljas. Oh, and as a matter of fact, I guess Matiljas is actually required because this is one of the main parts of the ship. But this little piece here will be going right there. It'll be a 2-to-1 converter. And on the front of the Matiljas piece, we are going to be using a Deimos companionway. Take place doors yourself. Put it right there. We're good. And then go ahead and put that on the front as well. Okay? Grab these two doors. We're going to be placing a ladder on the top section right there. And another door right there. Take your armory, place it in the front. Okay? Now let's go ahead and grab a couple of pieces. And what we're trying to do is we're going to get that connection point right there on the front of that Nova mini brace to connect onto that section right there. And all we have to do is select all, grab it, bring it forward, like so. Okay? Once we've done that, go ahead and grab this. Let's bring it over here. And that connection point right there is going to connect to that connection point right there. Select all this. Place it right there. And that's how that is all connected. Now, you might be asking why specifically like that. And I'll show you once we finish up the build. And it's the way that the wing flows. That was the way that I wanted this to look. And that's the reason why we have the two Nova mini braces there. We're going to go ahead and take this other Nova cowling, and this Nova cowling is going to be lined up on that part right there, and that snap point right there. Take this, boom. Now keep in mind, okay, this ship will have clipping, and it's going to happen right there. I will show you the inside. To me, it's not that big of a deal, but I do know that clipping is a bit of an eyesore, and I do know a lot of people are not okay with it. If you're not okay with it, just keep that in mind. I don't think it's that big of a deal, and you'll see that in the interior tour in a bit. But that is so we can create a nice little flow of these two Nova Cowlings. If you use a half-step merge for the Nova Cowlings, you can actually create that nice little flow there. And that's what I used here, okay? We're also going to be taking a Deimos Spine A and a Deimos Spine D. Quick and easy way you can attach this without having to, you know, do this whole little bit and then having to select all. Just connect these two like this, select all, and connect this Deimos Spine A to that connection point right there. Boom. Easy merge. Take a ballast shielded cargo. I did add shielded cargo just in case, you know, you wanted to add a little bit of extra. You could. This cargo piece is connecting to the bottom of the Nova mini brace that we have hidden in there, as you can see, like so. Not only do we have access to a nice shielded cargo, which kind of feels hidden, so, you know, maybe this Vanguard's been doing some shady stuff, you know, smuggling weapons to pirates, but it also creates a nice little flow there as well. You could decide to omit that. It's not really necessary, especially if you're not really into the whole contraband thing, but it's there for your consideration, and especially for lore fun, lore friendliness, lore fun. We're going to go ahead and move upwards, and we're going to take a 3-in-1 berth. We're going to be using the all-in-one specifically, and the middle part is going to be lining up with that section right there. So grab this and put it like so. It's going to be stopping right there. That's how you know you placed it properly. Take a 2x1, and we're going to turn this into a control station. Grab We're going to be also taking a Deimos Cowling. Take this, and we're going to be placing it right there in that little corner, like so. Get your Deimos landing bay, and it is going to be connecting to that companionway right there. Once you have the companionway there, I used this inertial mag reactor, the B class, because this was meant to be a B class ship. You could swap this out for the C class if you're not using the Dark Star like I mentioned. That way you can use the Poseidon engines or whatever else it is that you want. But this one used this particular reactor. Place it right behind this landing bay. Take 2 Nova Galactic gears or the Dark Star gears here. And that little connection point is going to be snapping to that connection point. Take both of these, place it right there. These 2 fuel tanks, just simply place it on the sides of the gears there. No big deal. Take this weapon, Horizon weapon mounts, and we're going to place it right there. It's just there for greebling, but you could also put weapons there if you'd like. Again, the amount of weapons that I put on my ships tends to be underpowered because I like them to feel a little bit normal. As fun as it is to me to just absolutely wipe enemies with a whole platform of nothing but particle weapons, I like the ships to feel a little bit more grounded, so that's why there's less weapon systems on board. Now let's go ahead and just take all these parts and just move them as well and put them over here. You're just mirroring everything that's going on this side over onto this side. Okay? We're going to take a Deimos Wing A, 2 of them, flip like this, and we're going to put them right here. Okay? We are also going to be taking the Nova Cowlings, 2 of them specifically. Let's see if I can grab it. And we're also going to be placing it right here. Now, what you could do is get it as close as possible. Select the entire ship, and when you grab it, it'll snap onto it, okay? Now, the reason why I'm using these pieces here is because I decided to use this as greebling. And the front end right there, that little snap point, is connecting to that snap point right there. Okay? Grab this. Put it right there. It's just for greebling. The Avon Tech nose isn't really necessary, but I placed it there just for looks. I thought it looked cool, so that's why it's there. We're going to be taking the Shroud Cap A, and this is also going to be connecting to the this part right here, the Deimos all-in-one berth. It's going to be snapping right there, and it's connecting that point right there. Okay. So you could just simply throw it on because it's going to go ahead and try to connect to the Nova brace that's underneath. But again, for the purpose of my build, I did bring it up, select it all, and then I just moved it forward like that. That way it's connected. Okay. I suppose a better way to do it would to be actually putting the Shroud Cap first, right there. Then taking your 2 Nova cowlings. If you select all, you'll be able to snap the front piece onto that connection point. Like so. And now they're both leveled or aligned. Then you could take your Deimos wing assembly here, and then just simply snap it like that. It's very easy that way. Take this and snap it to the back end of that right there. Now we're going to go ahead. Now this is a part that is also a little bit tricky. This whole little section is connected kind of oddly. There is going to be a Shroud Cap C and a Nova cowling that are connected using that equipment plate. The equipment plate, you're just simply going to flip until it's upside down and place it right there. We're forcing the game into thinking that the connection point for that Nova cowling, that back end part, is connecting to that Cap C. That is all sharing that connection point there, along with a Hope Tech riser into a fake decorative Nautilus tower, and then a Hope Tech marker. Gonna go ahead and grab this. And this is gonna be connecting, I believe, yes. All this will be connecting right there. That is how that's snapping on. It's at the very end of this 3x1. That is where that's going, okay? This particular grab drive, again, you can swap it out with anything, but since we have Matildus already installed, might as well use it, is going to go underneath that Nova cowling right there. Okay? Take the Avon Tech hood. That snap point right there at the bottom is going to be snapping onto, let's go ahead and bring it forward, like so. It is sharing, it is going to be snapping on right there, okay? Like that. Take your Ulysses M50 HE3 tanks. We're going to be snapping it on right there. It's going to be snapping onto the Shroud Cap C. We're also going to be taking this actual Warden shield generator. Again, you could upgrade that to anything else. And then this decorative similar Warden shield generator. We're going to be placing it back there. And this is connecting to the back end of this Shroud piece right there. We're going to take a Nova cowling and an Avon Tech hood. You're simply going to connect the Nova cowling like so. There's a little connection point there. Just like that. Take all of this, and we're going to be connecting it right there. like that. Okay? Now, the way that this is connected is this little mini brace is actually going to be going in that little section as well. Okay? So just take a mini brace, put it on the bottom of this little cowling assembly here. Get it as close as we can, like so. Select the entire ship, and we're just gonna move it over until it's right there. Another way that you could probably do this is by trying to think of another way to throw that in there. That's the easiest way, at least for me. That's the way that I managed to get it done. But then you're gonna go ahead and just take this Avon Tech intake, not necessary, and it'll just snap right there without a problem. And you've got your ship. Place your weapons. This is where I place my weapons, right there. The missiles are snapped onto the bottom section of the Stroud brace there. I have a laser weapon attached to the bottom of this Magellan cockpit, as well as the two that were used to merge this little section here. And that will be it. This is the entire ship. I managed to shave off about like 20 minutes re-explaining this ship. So I hope you enjoy. Let me go ahead and show you the internal tour of the ship. Okay? So if we come over here to our ship, you're going to go ahead and go up. We will be immediately inside of this little whole thing going on here. Directly up in the front is the armory. I kind of figure since this was a Vanguard pilot, you know, they need access to their guns as soon as they're almost out. You know, safety, that'll be up to you to decide. Who knows if it's actually safe. Now back here is where the clipping is, and that's the clipping. To me, it's not that big of a deal because at least the doors aren't really being obstructed and you're not really being forced to have to go through it, which is ugly. So you could just, in my opinion, you could just ignore it, but this is the kind of clipping that you will see. This is the only clipping in the actual ship, just so you're aware. There is no other clipping happening. This is the only section that it'll clip. This is happening because of a mucilagous thing. I believe you could just cover this up with, I think there's a Play Stores Yourself patch that'll fix that, but I don't think that it's currently loaded right now. You could just cover that up with a decorative item or something. But come this way through the door. You are now inside of your battle stations, where all the fun happens. And down here is the brig. Now the reason why I recommend Play Stores Yourself is because of this reason. Now head cannon's the best cannon, and when you come in, you are directly in this enclosed space. The way that I figure is if you're taking bounties and you're picking up people, they're going to be stuck here in these two brigs. But what happens if they get out, right? Close the door. They're not going anywhere. They're stuck in there. There's nowhere else to go, and they're screwed. So that's the reason why I picked this specific location. It works out in a head cannon sort of sense. And then there's the docking access. Whenever you dock onto ships, you'll be able to throw them right in there, and you know, the flow works out really well. Close them in there so they're not going anywhere. Come back up. Oops, there we go. Let's go back up to the front of the ship. Now let's go ahead and go up here. This is where you'll have access to your main living quarters. Keep you and your crew safe. Come over here into a control station to have access to more crew space. And then your cockpit. Now let me show you why I pick Dark Star as the engines, because this is where the fun begins. I also do have Sam Coe as one of my crew members, which will also increase your top speed. I highly recommend keeping Sam Coe on your team just because of that reason. I know Cora might be a little annoying, but there's mods to get her to stop talking. I personally don't think her haikus are really that annoying, but that mod is there for your consideration because she does talk while you're flying. It's not that big of a deal to me though. Now, take a look at this top speed. A top speed normally of 280. That's wild. Not just with the Dark Star engines, but also with Sam Coe as your crew. that's what happens, okay? I do have infinite boost-ons, just so you can kind of check this out. Look at that speed. Very nice. So let's go ahead and start fighting some of these guys here. Now, like I mentioned, you definitely could work out with better equipment overall, because even with the nerfs, in my opinion, by not fully using all the what's available to you in terms of like weapon damage, that still deals like a decent amount of damage, at least in my opinion. And I like to make my ships feel fun without just completely obliterating everything, but that's just the way that I work. Darkstar, again, it's not entirely necessary. You could just swap them out for Poseidons. You could use different engines if you'd like, but if you're just going to be building up the spec, those are the mods that I use. I do try to keep the mods generally only to like a few, just so you're not having to download too many, because one of the downsides to mods, again, is once they need updating, you're kind of screwed, and that's not fun. And I like to stick to just mainly better snaps and better flips, because very rarely do those mods need to get updated, and even then it's not really that game breaking if you lose some of those parts, because you get to snap them on really easy without a problem. But yeah, that's the Athena. I will be breaking down the Jing Yong Sil, the Nova Corps research ship, soon, so keep your eyes out for that one.